just call you back as soon as I can. The joy of that.
Hey everyone, it's Christine Gritman here with Social. I do this show every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time where I talk to one of my smart friends about social media. And this is actually the last one I'm doing till September. I'm taking a much needed break in August. So I hope we get lots of love on this one. And we have a great guest here, Tony Christensen from Tony Does Ads. Hey Tony, how you doing?
So great. How you doing? Great to be here.
Good. Yes. And it's awesome because we set this up like in June, I think, and I knew that by the time we went live, we were going to have some more Facebook ads news. And sure enough, some has just happened literally this week. But first, I actually want to back it up. So you are an ads specialist, a Facebook ads specialist. That's your whole jam for the most part, right?
That's all. That's literally all I do pretty much 24/7.
Nice. It's,
yeah,
you know,
always
I
thinking
mean, there's worse ways to spend a life, there, gotta say.
True. It's a job I love, so it's not horrible for me.
Yeah, why Facebook ads? Why did that become your area of specialty?
I think it stems from being the youngest child, and my mom used to tell me I used to be like the loudest one in stores, and so kind of wanting to get attention.
I'm getting
really,
too, so.
Yeah, I'm getting really quick to the core here, but yeah, so I really back up to I was doing music, and I really wanted to learn how to promote my music, and that comes down to marketing, and then it kind of gets into advertising. So I really just got into it from there, and I just really got into more like what people react to when it comes to video, images, what stands out, what kind of copy will they react to better. So yeah, I'm just turning into like this mad scientist with Facebook ads, and I'm loving it.
It's a fun puzzle to try to tease out the rationale behind, and I mean they do keep giving us information. We just need to like actually listen to them when they tell us what they want. Yeah. But okay, so I'm gonna start with a question that has driven me crazy, and we talked about this briefly on Messenger first, which is it used to be okay. There's Facebook Ads Manager, and that's great, and I got to be not quite ninja level, but extremely competent with Ads Manager, and I work with beginners, so my ace in the hole, my like key weapon tool, whatever, was teaching them about custom audiences. That blew minds. I blew minds by showing them custom audiences. That was my favorite thing to teach people. And then with clients one day, we tried to go to set up a custom audience, and we got a message saying, nope, you have to set up Business Manager. And we're like, oh, God's sake. All right, fine, we'll set up Business Manager. And so we went through the seemingly simple but laden with bugs along the path way of setting up Business Manager. And it was all set up, and it seemed all good. And then it said, oh, you can't use custom audiences until you make a payment. These people had never advertised. They were not exactly behind on payments. They hadn't done anything to pay for. So that was frustrating. And similarly, I've been advertising on Facebook since 2015. And it also told me that I couldn't create custom audiences anymore. And then I had the whole thing of reconciling. There were 2 ad accounts, and so I had to reconcile which business manager. Okay, so can we talk about that shift a little bit? Like why Facebook, you think, did that shift and how people can understand it a little more clearly?
Yeah, I think, kind of at the real core of it, it kind of comes back to kind of the Cambridge Analytica stuff and how certain people and third-party apps and things were taking too much data from Facebook and incorrectly kind of abusing privileges that they had. So now, Facebook's under a lot of fire from a lot of different people, even like, newspapers and stuff are really trying to write just horrible articles on Facebook all the time. So now they're kind of pushed back now. It's kind of in defense mode. So yeah, that's kind of where a lot more of the push now has been going to, setting up that Business Manager account, and then with custom audiences now, because there's people, selling email lists and all these kind of things happening where they didn't really own this audience, but now they were targeting these people and these emails that they didn't actually get people to consent to. So they're kind of reeling all that back now and being really defensive with a lot of it just to be on the safe side. which probably they should have done back in the day. But yeah, it makes it tough for us now and business owners where it's like, what is happening? I'm losing these privileges that I just got used to. And it's kind of stemming from have abused it and then realizing, oh, we should probably have more kind of restrictions in place there.
More safeguards make you jump through more hoops and make you prove that you are a legit advertiser.
Yeah, and they kind of did that too. And they kind of did that too with looking at like your audiences now, where they need to be bigger, where you're not going to be able to really see, really descriptive. If you go into like your audience insights, right? You used to be able to look at smaller audiences and see interests that they had, and now I'm not even sure what the number is now, but it's a lot bigger now, where you need like 10,000 people, or 1,000 or whatever that number is. They're basically, they're not wanting to show you as much now until you get a bigger list that you're targeting.
I've absolutely noticed that, because I used to be able to get like an incredible, like scary, creepy level of audience insights once I hit 1,000, and a lot of that stuff, it just says data not available now. And I mean, it's hard to know what's a bug and what's a feature. Like, it's very hard with Facebook to know what hasn't technically been taken away, it's just not working right now, versus what they have taken away. So do you have any further insight as to the insights and what they are and are not taking away?
So one of the things that they're actually bringing back now, and I can talk about why they took it away, is actually they had custom audience reach. So when you would make those different custom audiences, it would kind of show you how many people were in there, how many people you could reach with ads. And they started taking that away, and kind of because the reason why they did that is before you could make custom audiences, and then they kind of had a loophole where people could starting to find out genders and things in their custom audiences when they got into targeting. So they basically took that, completely took it back, redid it now. So now I just saw an update early in July where they're rolling that back out now. So you can start to see when it comes to like your custom audience reach, you're going to start to see that now again. So that's a good thing we'll have. But yeah, it's getting tough, especially for the small business owner, to see the exact insights. So yeah, I mean, I'm always telling people, set up your Facebook pixel and you can start to see analytics there. But it's not getting easier in a lot of ways. So it's tough.
But it sounds like it's at least to a noble end, which is, it isn't that Facebook is just trying to mess with us. It's not just that they're trying to get more of our money, though it doesn't hurt. It's really about privacy and responsible use of data. And as Tim pointed out, the reason there are thresholds to begin with, and always have been, regarding audience insights, is because you need like a fairly large sample in order to not have it be too private. If you only have 100 followers and you get information, it's a little too easy to connect it to direct people. And so that makes sense. All right, so now let's move on to something that I know you're excited to talk about, which is the new shifts that Facebook literally just announced in terms of dimensions for ads and some display stuff. It not only affects ads, right? I think to some degree it affects display in general on mobile.
Yeah, it should be for, I believe, the Facebook newsfeed primarily on mobile. That'll affect ads and organic content now.
Okay, so how are they changing it, and why do you think they did it?
Okay, yeah, so I have it here, so I'll just read it real quick. So basically, they're going to give us fewer lines of primary text that are going to show. So before, I think you could have 7 lines or 5 lines, and now they're bringing that down to 3. And then the other thing is they're changing that aspect ratio to before you could kind of have really vertical type videos and images.
You could take up like the whole screen of a phone.
Yeah. And now they're changing that to a 4:5 ratio, which is a little smaller, but it's still vertical, but not, it's close to a square basically. And the reason why they're doing that, they're really pushing their big integrations with all their different platforms, with Facebook and Instagram and now WhatsApp and everything else. It's really just, it's kind of making it easier for everyone to be able to post on Facebook and on Instagram and not have things look completely different. So that's kind of that's kind of the reason behind it. They're just trying to make it easier for basically advertisers like me or you to be able to publish ads everywhere, because they want people to kind of do automatic placements now. And if you have kind of a ratio like that, it's going to work everywhere a lot better than if you had something vertical and then it's not going to work on Instagram, or they don't want it to be a huge rectangle there, so.
It's interesting that they went with making the footprint smaller for everywhere, as opposed to making the footprint larger on the non-Facebook placements. And that's also something that I wanted to ask you about, which is that I know you're a Facebook ad specialist, and you can, of course, advertise on Instagram through Facebook's advertising tools. In fact, I tell everyone who I talk to about Instagram advertising, I'm like, don't do it on Instagram, do it on Facebook. So have you been investing in figuring out sort of different strategies for Instagram advertising, or are you still primarily devoted to Facebook?
Yeah, so I do a lot of kind of what's called the Facebook Power 5 and kind of what they're recommending, and it's sort of a
Power
post
5.
on. Yeah, and it's sort of like it's like I said, it's making ads and relying more on Facebook's machine learning. So instead of posting one post for Facebook and one for Instagram, it's like you're one and it's showing it everywhere.
Yep.
I don't really like it as much for stories, because stories are vertical,
Yeah.
and that doesn't look very great. I don't think it looks very great. So typically there, I mean, I'm still doing automatic placement, and a lot of people worry about wasting money, but Facebook's machine learning is really quick, and like if you're running $100 or whatever it might be, they're gonna, like, for stories, if you're posting a square video or image, it's gonna be like a few pennies or like $1 that they put there. So it's not like they're actually gonna separate that like really evenly. They know, like, okay, we're gonna put it in the news feed, we're gonna put it in the Instagram feed. They're not gonna push those specific aspect ratios on stories because they know they're not going to work as successful there. So I'm not doing a whole lot of different things there. I am sometimes, though, doing like different headlines for Instagram because those are totally looking different, messing with things like the different like bold text that you can get now that people are using on Instagram. So you can kind of make a headline with bold text now, which is kind of cool, which before you couldn't really do anything. Your headline would just be pulled in there, and it would just look like normal text. So it's not really drawing any attention. It just looks like a normal Instagram caption. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also doing specific story ads too, where getting people to swipe up to go to a store or whatnot.
But that is good to know that someone who specifically has devoted his career to Facebook Ads Manager, basically. So you do trust the automatic placements then. Facebook does have our best interest at heart in terms of getting us bang for our buck with placements.
Yeah, it's getting scary how good it is actually. It's impressive, and the Power 5 kind of goes into that too, where they're now talking about campaign budget optimization, and that kind of gets into the same thing where if you have different funnels of ads, before you might have had different campaigns or different ad sets and things that you might bring people down into a funnel type thing. And now they're kind of changing it to where if they can figure out, or like, for example, let's say you have two different ad sets that you're testing out, right? One might be smaller, one might be bigger, but before you could do, the ad set budgets, and you still can. They might be rolling that away in the future, which is another announcement we could talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so before, I could say like maybe I want to break it up in between men and women or whatnot, and I could put $10 a day on each ad set or something like that, right? Now they kind of want you to do campaign budget optimization. So instead, now what they want you to do is $10 or $20 a day on the campaign budget, and they'll test the male and women for you and say, hey, men are converting a lot more. We're going to put more money here. We're going to put $18 here and $2 a day towards the women or something because they're not buying. So they're kind of using machine learning now to kind of quickly learn and then kind of optimize for you in your budgets. But it's still a work in progress in a lot of ways. I've seen the automatic placement work fairly well. I've seen the campaign budget optimization. Sometimes they find someone interacted with it early and then they really dump a lot of the money into there, and I'm like, oh, don't do that. So you got to keep an eye on it. Yeah, you got to keep an eye on it, especially earlier on, because they might do that and then see. We're testing right now. I just launched a bunch of new ads for a coffee company, and we've had ads that are running and ad sets that are running, and they're doing well. And I put my my new ad set in this campaign that's campaign budget optimization. And I've noticed, at the very beginning, it was just putting and we're probably spending $100 a day on this campaign for this specific one. And yeah, the first day they maybe put $3 into it, and I was like, come on, I'm not getting any data from it. So they're kind of still relying on what's working, and they kind of sprinkle a little bit money into it, see how it reacts, and they kind of pulling it back, dumping a little bit more in, and then kind of seeing how it reacts. So it's good, but it's getting better too.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I always felt like a lot of those automated things where you just sort of trust Facebook to allocate for you I always felt like, oh, well, once I advertise a bit more and have a better sense of how things do, I should probably not automate it. But it's good to know that you trust the machine learning to some degree, and that I'm hearing the budget optimization is not as advanced as the automatic placement is, but it's newer, of course.
And it's getting there. It's getting there, definitely. Another thing you can do too, and what some people do, is they'll do the automatic placement at the beginning of their campaigns.
Oh, and then reallocate.
Like you said, and then change it up when you know, okay, we're actually getting conversions here. But like I said, like I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and we meet with Facebook every other week, and they'll tell us, do this, and they kind of give us a report card, like, you're not doing campaign budget optimization. And we're like, okay, fine. So we try to do it. Yeah, and they give us like feedback, and they talk to us about why it works and about the machine learning and all that. And I wanted to look back and see, like, okay, how is it actually breaking it down? Because we've been doing quite a bit now for a lot of our campaigns. And like I said, like, yeah, they're putting a few dollars, and they're just seeing if it works. And we have got some purchases on like the right column placements, which a lot of people don't run at all.
Yeah.
But another thing that I like to bring up is a lot of people are just putting ads in the news feed, so that's going to cost more than the right column,
Because that's the spot everyone wants.
Yeah, so if you can get that right column and you get something working over there, I mean, you could get a pretty cheap cost per click there, or pretty cheap cost per conversion. So something to think about and test about. I'm always about testing stuff. So
yeah, that's really smart. Now I want to back up. You were talking about what did you call it? The Power 5? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, Facebook Power 5.
So can you define that for us?
Oh, geez. I don't know if I can think of all the 5 off the top of my head. But yeah, it's
you
basically
can cheat.
5.
You're at your computer.
This
is an open book test. I want you to look smart.
Like pulling it up here. So it's basically, like I said, it's 5 of their more like machine learning type programs that they have now with Facebook. So that includes dynamic ads is another one. So basically, if I have, we work with a lot of e-commerce companies. Mm-hmm. So you can sync your cart with Facebook, and basically, if someone goes and they look at our dark roast of coffee, for example, right? Then they go back to if they didn't buy it and they go back to Facebook, we can show them that exact roast.
I'm quite familiar with that.
Exactly.
Especially any woman who has ever been to the ModCloth website is very familiar that, those shoes will follow you around for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it works, as an advertiser, I know it works really well with women because they love shopping online, So yes, we do, we sell like leggings and yoga pants too. And it's great because you can be like, you were just looking at these, come back, or did you forget, or did life get in the way, or all these sorts of things that you can do. And those are called dynamic ads. So basically, I can write copies, something like, did you forget, or your shopping cart's waiting, come back and get and basically you insert a dynamic product name. So whatever that product name is in your catalog, it'll just put that in your actual ad copy. So that's what makes it dynamic there.
Pottery Barn's really sneaky. There's one item that's in their core lineup that I keep considering and looking at, and they'll be slick with it. They won't follow me constantly for 2 weeks. They'll follow me once every 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's
slick.
There's a lot of cool things you can do there. Yeah, and you can even like with remarketing and stuff too. Yeah, you can think about, like, for example, we do coffee sales on a subscription model, and then we sell single bags too, right? Mm-hmm. So what we can do is people that buy the single bags, we know they might run out in a month or so then we can show them another ad in a month and say, hey,
smart.
You probably ran out, come back and get it, your next bag or whatever. The other ones that they have, we talked about automatic placements already, so that's, and a lot of these things are just basically check boxes that you click, and then they're like, all right, we're going to do it for you kind of thing.
I have a quick question about the dynamic retargeting. So Canvas, I'm not even sure if it's still called Canvas, those interactive experiences where you click on an ad and it opens up a whole cool thing. Are those dynamically populated as well?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. I think you can do, that's a good question. Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure, but I do know you can do, you can select which products they show. Mm-hmm. So you can, select if you're retargeting a certain targeted audience, you can show them, only show them, like if we're talking coffees, only show them the dark roast or whatever.
Yeah.
You can click kind of your product groupings and show them those specific ones.
Okay, but it's not necessarily individual. I'm just in a chunk.
Yeah, sort of, yes. yeah. Because it's retargeting. I'm trying to remember if they have dynamic product ads for that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't believe so. But yeah, I would do something like just remarketing to a specific group, and you could do like for us if we have a collection that's on. It's like dark roast or whatever. Mm-hmm. You could just retarget everyone that went to that dark roast page or whatever, and then show them dark roast.
That makes sense. So it's more about clustering, less about specifically plugging in things that I personally looked at. I had a question. I wanted to roll back something that Greg mentioned. Greg, who is handsome and brilliant, which is you mentioned that in the automatic budget optimization, maybe you have a set for women and a set for men, and Facebook will see that men are responding, so they'll dump more budget on that. What if it's the other way around? Are you able to indicate in advance, here's the group that I want it performing among, and if it's not performing among that group, dump more money to them? Or is that a situation where you maybe shouldn't use automatic optimization? Does that make sense?
So like if you're saying like, women are going to perform are going to purchase more than the men?
Let's say I want to grow both audiences, but I want to make sure that the female audience grows. And then as the campaign is running, men are reacting to it more, men are responding to it more, engaging with it more. As you said, the budget optimization would then probably put the lion's share of the budget towards that group. But is there any way to indicate in advance, okay, this is the group we care more about it performing among, so do whatever you got to do? Or is that a situation where you maybe shouldn't use the automatic optimization and should just split it yourself?
Yeah, if you kind of know one group's going to perform better, I would probably just make a different campaign with that group if you want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and just separate it out. Because like you said, like there's other things you can do, like you can set up certain rules as well. Like, so if certain ad sets aren't performing well, you can reduce budget. Well, I don't think you can do that actually. Sorry, in campaign budget optimization, so never mind. But yeah, you can set up certain rules as well. Like you're gonna turn campaigns off if they're not performing well, or ad sets off as well. So yeah, I would probably just separate it out though. If the women are going to be buying more than the men, that's probably the best way that's going to be able to handle it.
Yeah. So sorry, I took you off on that tangent, but you were talking about the 5.
Yeah. So the other one is auto advanced matching, and this is a pixel thing. So when you go into setting up pixels and your pixel settings, you'll click auto advanced matching, and basically what that does, and this is like very technical. This is great because I need to like know all this stuff off the top of my head. It's great.
Keeping you on your toes, Tony.
Exactly. When someone goes to your website and they interact with it or whatnot, and Facebook can kind of connect them with your pixel and then put them into audiences. And it's Google Analytics has the same thing, so it can learn more about people and by their behavior that they interact with by going to your site and then by searching Facebook and things like that.
Can we talk a little bit more about the pixel? I think the pixel is frequently misunderstood, and I think a lot of people are intimidated by the pixel. I will admit that I personally have not been making full use of my pixel. So can you can you tell us just a little bit about the basics of why everyone should make sure to set it up?
Yeah, and I like to tell everyone set it up right away, even if you're not going to be running ads. So I'll give you a great example right now. So I was working with a client, and we wanted to run ads, and I said, is your pixel installed? And they said, no.
My what?
And I basically started crying right there on the spot.
Takes a strong man to cry, Tony.
Yeah. Or just me. No. But basically, your strongest audience is typically going to be the people that are interacting with you online and the people that are going to your website, reading your stuff that you're putting on your website, checking out your products on your website. So the problem there is if you don't have a pixel, you can't build those audiences of people that went to your website in the last 180 days, the last 30 days, the last 7 days to then show ads to. So that's one of the huge things that you definitely want that pixel for, because you can make those custom audiences based out of website visitors. The other thing is conversion tracking. So a great example of this as well. I just did an audit for a company, and they basically spent $80,000 for this agency spent $80,000 for this company, sent a lot of traffic there. They had purchases, but they didn't track the conversion dollar amount.
Oh.
So, if I send 10,000 people to a website and I find out, if they had the event set up, which was good. So, we could see there was 100-ish purchases, which is great. So I can kind of know, okay, this ad sold, this many purchases. But the other side of it is you need to do conversion tracking. So if I buy, again, like if I'm talking about yoga pants now, again, $100 pair of yoga, I wouldn't buy it for me, but if I'm shopping for someone and buy a $100 pair of yoga pants.
Yeah, I'm wearing like a $10 pair of yoga pants right now, but...
I'll send you their link after the show. No, just they're good quality. No.
Such an influencer, Tony.
Yeah. But yeah, the main point is if you're sending traffic and you kind of know, you want to know which specific ad is actually selling. It's great to know these ads are sending people to your site, but it's another level to know how many people are buying from which ad, right? And then the third level is how much are they spending? So, right, so I can say this ad got 10 purchases and this ad got 10 purchases, but if I don't have that conversion tracking set up, I can't say, oh, this one got 10, but it sold us $50,000. This one got 10 and sold us $10,000 or something.
So it's good for ROI, and it's also good for knowing which of your clicks is really valuable and how valuable. Like, even if you're not tracking purchases, it's good to know these are the people who are actually following through and going to your website and engaging.
Yeah, and even if you're not selling online, you can do like a lead generation, right? So someone that goes to your website and then signs up for your email list. And if you're running 4 different ads, you're really going to want to figure out which one is actually making people sign up, right? So then basically what we do is then you see, if you out of those 4 ads, if one's really performing well, what I would probably do, depending on say the other 3 are just tanking, I would turn those off and I would basically duplicate that one that's doing really well, and then I would try to just tweak it a little bit, right? Or try to tweak it a little bit more, but pull something from it and tweak it and see if I can optimize it even more. So I might split that out even to another set of 4 ads, which then again and then seeing and kind of repeating again and optimizing. So that's kind of how you can keep optimizing and kind of improve on your ROI as you keep going.
That's fantastic. And now I will let it be known that a lot of browsers are starting to block things like Pixel, but the fact is some data is so much better than no data. So it is still worth it to set up your Pixel, and it's stupid easy, you guys. It's so easy. Like, if I could do it, I'm very non-techie. I'm an ideas girl. So if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so let's get back to those Power 5.
Yeah, so we had dynamic product ads, automatic placement, that auto advanced matching. We talked about campaign budget optimization, and the 5th one is account simplification. Ooh. And that again comes back to kind of all of those things summed up into one, where they don't want you running a million campaigns and 1,000 different ad sets. They want you kind of simplifying it down into like a lot of the stuff we're doing. I mean, if there's 3 levels to the funnel, we might do 3 campaigns where it's top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. And then we just put different ad sets into that. So it's very simple, easy to look at. It's not like we have 500 campaigns. So it just makes it easier to look at and easier for Facebook to optimize for you.
Nice. Yeah, help Facebook help you, people. And again, Facebook actually does have a vested interest in saving you money, because then you'll come back and spend more. If Facebook ads are not working effectively, if you can't get that bang for your buck, then people won't be using it. So it makes sense that Facebook is gearing its learning tools towards actually saving you money. So now I would love to know what advice you would give to people who haven't really delved into Facebook ads a ton. So we're not talking about your clients who are spending like $100 a day on, 100 different ads. Yeah, what are some basics for people who are just starting to tread into Facebook advertising that you would recommend? I'll start one thing, which is don't hit that boost button. Don't hit the boost button. Go into Ads Manager. Do it properly. Could you say something quickly on the boost button? Because I have this issue a lot, and I'd like to hear it from someone smarter in this area of expertise.
That's a great one. I would say I got in trouble. I was talking to Alex Curtis, who I met at Atomicon, and told him, he said we should never boost. And and I kind of was like, oh, there's certain cases I might boost, but I would say, yeah, if I'm talking to a small business owner, don't boost.
When would one boost?
If you're new to Facebook ads.
When is it okay to boost?
And it's still not optimal. It's more of a, if I want to just kind of like Tony does ads, for example, if it's something where I'm trying to grow a personal brand and I don't really care as much about the actual ad performance, but just I kind of want to do an easy, like, let me just put $10 on this post that was already performing well, and I'll just expand that out to a few more people. But it's not, I wouldn't leverage it as kind of boosting your ROI kind of thing. I would use it more for growing a personal brand. And again, it's just because it could be easier to use.
And I've heard it dings your organic reach for a bit after you've boosted in a way that it doesn't after you've advertised. Is that still the case that you've seen, or?
I'm not 100%. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Like, honestly, I don't really boost ever.
Yeah, me neither.
But like I said, like if it's something where, like, I talked to a gym owner the other day, and he's like, I boost it just because it's easy, right? I don't have to go into Ads Manager. I can do it on my phone.
Yeah.
So and
trading
he knows
time for money.
Yeah, and he knows. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's just efficient. It's not going to give you quite as much of a bang for your buck, but it's going to be sort of easier. But for most small businesses and newer advertisers, I wouldn't do it at all.
So ideally, what should people
weird
do?
Cases, yeah.
Okay, so what should people do if they're not boosting, if they're wading into the waters of the Ads Manager?
Yeah, so I always start with, it's like mandatory, get your pixel installed. If you're watching this right now and you don't have a Facebook pixel on your website, you need to get it installed.
Do it,
again,
pixel, now.
And that was the third thing I didn't really talk about with the Pixel. Another benefit is there's analytics. So like a really cool thing you can do is when you start to set it up and you start to get a lot of purchases, you can then filter in your analytics and see what exactly your purchasers are acting like online. So what are their times that they're online, and how long are they on your website? Similar to Google Analytics, Facebook has a lot of that too. So that's a great thing to do. And if you have that conversion tracking set up, again, you can filter by purchasers in the last 30 days. You can see how those people acted. So that's really, really powerful there.
Yeah.
But to get back, I go out on so many different tangents.
And I'm encouraging it. I'm sending you there. I'm like, dude, go over there.
Yeah, keep going. No. So let's go to, talking about if you're starting out, what I always recommend if someone comes to me and I say, are you posting content organically? That's kind of the first thing that I always recommend. Really work on just your branding, your voice, work on figuring out what resonates with people. And especially if you have a smaller budget, you need to do all that beforehand so you're not wasting tons of ad dollars, right? Mm-hmm. I'm fortunate that I work with bigger brands, and it's cool because we can test and we can learn really quickly. But smaller brands don't have budgets to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing when it comes to running ads is Facebook has, with their machine learning and everything, they have a kind of a learning cycle. And if you're not, if you have a smaller budget, it's going to take a few days for that learning cycle to be over. So they need a certain amount of impressions to see how the ad performs. So I would say, really work on like your retargeting ads. I would probably start there first for small business owners. And it depends on the size of your audience as well, and if Facebook will even let you target those people.
Yeah.
But
those, who should they retarget? Because there are options. There's people who visited your website. There's people who engaged with your content organically. People who engaged with specific ads. So how should they retarget ideally with all those options?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I do is it's kind of a big engagement audience. So kind of I group together people that viewed your videos, people that engage with you on Facebook and Instagram, and then people that went to your website. If you have like those shopping carts synced up with Facebook too, I would do almost like a separate audience for a dynamic product ad. That would be people that viewed an item or added it to your cart, but they didn't purchase.
We're talking beginners here, Tony. Let's roll it back.
Yeah. So they probably would have, sorry, I'm an e-commerce guy, so yeah, never mind. So I would just do those engagement audiences of, like I said, people that are going to your website, engaging with you online, and watching your videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
And then, what else do I want?
Even before that, what campaign objectives do you like?
Remarketing ads. Ooh, that's a good one. It's tough for me again because I'm working with a lot of bigger e-commerce companies,
and they have very different, goals.
Yeah. But what I've been liking a lot more actually, which is kind of a unique one for the kind of top of funnel, getting awareness, getting people to start knowing about your brand, is I like doing video ads, and I like doing them for engagement actually, not for video views, not for site clicks, not for traffic, not any of that kind of stuff, not for conversions, but for engagement. And the reason for that, I'm seeing really good results with it, and it helps you kind of get that social proof. You're starting to get reactions and people commenting.
We love engagement, you guys. We love engagement. Engagement is great. Engage.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm really liking a lot of engagement campaigns for that reason. So yeah, I would say do like a video ad. I like a lot of testimonials that you might be able to have people that are talking exactly about how you help them, the problems that they had, their pain points, and how your business or your product solves their pain points. It's awesome. really valuable stuff. And then yeah, if you run that as an engagement campaign, you'll get the comments, you'll get the views, hopefully some shares maybe. And then yeah, you can just retarget those people that engage with that as well down the funnel, or you can retarget people that viewed a certain percentage of that video or whatnot.
What kind of interests do you like to target? Do you use interest targeting a lot, and do you have any particular guidelines for how to and not to use that?
That's a good one. I could talk for months on for probably years.
I know, like this is going to be a long show, but it's a really good one. So if you're cool, I'm cool.
So yeah, that's a really good question. So one of the biggest issues I see a lot of businesses do, I'm going to talk about some history, and then I'll answer your question if I can remember it. But yeah, I see a lot of businesses doing like buy my product, and they're targeting those cold interest-based audiences, and I don't recommend that at all. You know, we talked about doing remarketing for people that have already engaged with you. So when it comes to interest-based audiences, they're going to be trying to reach people to get to know about your brand. So like I said, if you have a good testimonial video, if you have a video, that's helpful to them, if you have something that's funny or entertaining that you've already posted maybe and people are responding to and they liked it, I think that would be a really good one to do. And then when it comes to the interest-based stuff, what I've really liked doing lately is, and again, it depends on the business size, and it's always my answer, depends, but if you have a decent list of email subscribers or a decent list of purchasers, getting those and making a lookalike audience, those are going to be cold audiences.
I love lookalike audiences.
Lookalike. If it looks like, and if they look like your purchasers, you have to know that they still don't know about you, even though they're like your purchasers. They might not know about you at all. So
they're not
what I
actually
like doing
warm.
Though is
they are
coupling,
curated cold.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Curated cold is a great way to do it. Say it. So yeah, what I do is I couple that with then interest-based targeting, right? So I have my purchaser list, or I have my email list, and then I break that down. So I click that lookalike audience that I've created, and then I break that down into people that are interested in whatever it might be, to kind of make it a little bit more granular there. Mm-hmm. But you could test interest-based audiences as well, and we're always running tons of different tests and different things. So there's like unique combinations you can do there. But yeah, I would say when it comes down to, and the other side of that too now is Facebook's getting, again with their machine learning, they kind of mentioned in our last meeting that broad targeting's getting pretty good now. It's kind of getting scary where. Similarly to like the automatic placements, they're kind of testing out different segments of groups. So like if I say people in the U.S. that like coffee, there's so many different brands and people that like specialty coffee and then just cheap coffee, and they kind of know, they're just so smart now. It's crazy. But they can kind of, with their machine learning, figure out and test small groups of people and figure out what's working with a very broad targeting set and optimizing for that. Now, they said that's more for a bigger product that a lot of people enjoy. If it's something very niche and very specific, I probably wouldn't do, broad-based targeting like that. But that's another interest-based targeting idea you could do. But what I always tell people is test.
But one question I have with the interest targeting is it good to put several different interests in order to give it more information, or does that just dilute it because it technically says that they only need to be interested in at least one of those things?
So it depends how you break it down, because you can do interests and you can pick, like for me, I can pick coffee, specialty coffee, maybe dark roast coffee or whatever, and I can group them into the same thing and they just put them all in a bucket. Or I could do coffee and then specialty coffee, requirement. So it's not a either or. It has to be both of these. So one of the examples of some of the audiences that we do use is we do a interest-based at the top part, and we do engaged shoppers, which is another one you can do. So people that are buying online in a group. So if you're doing that interest-based targeting, and then they have to be engaged shoppers, and you're getting people that are more likely to buy online as well. So that's another way you could do it there.
And even if they're not buying online, I mean, Facebook knows what coffee we're buying. I buy my coffee at the store. I bet you anything Facebook knows. They just know all the things.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gotten through that part. Do you do manual bids for your ads, or do you kind of trust it?
Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of manual bids. I haven't done. We just tested. Facebook recommended we try. Sometimes they try to tell us to test things, and I think it's because they want to see how it works and if we like it. And they wanted us to try like cost cap bid testing, and we did it, and it did not work for us at all. I probably wouldn't recommend doing cost cap stuff. So like an example, like if we're talking about the yoga pants, right? I might do a cost cap at. They said to do a little bit above what your conversion price might be. So maybe if I want to sell them for $20 spend or whatever, maybe I do 25. So I give it some leeway. But we had really good performing campaigns already, and when we tried that, it just did not work. It did not perform as well.
Good to know. Yeah, it requires such familiarity too. I feel like the only type of ad I would be remotely comfortable enough to put a cost cap on would be video ads, because I'm pretty confident about how low I can get them. But that's good to know that we can kind of again, I'm learning a lot about trusting the automatic options here and feeling a lot better about it. Anthony, what kind of coffee are you drinking? Tell us. And then what ad creative types do you feel like are good? Moving on to the next tab of Ads Manager.
Yeah, so I that's a good one. I like a lot of video. But yeah, I'm like,
videos
that one
that have been
actually,
posted already, or videos that you just upload as such?
What was that?
Videos that you posted already, or videos that you're uploading in Ads Manager?
A lot of this stuff, if you're a small business, I would probably do videos that you're uploading already. I'm working with people that have creative teams in a lot of cases, so we can kind of say, hey, we need more awareness type of videos. We need more videos that'll help people go to our website. So a lot of the things that we're doing is like testimonial videos, like I said, are really good. Again, and I'm really getting into writing better ad copy and stuff now too. And I'm just obsessed with the idea of like, get the words from your customers that love you, right? And use those in your ad copy. Show them in a video talking about your brand. Like, it's going to be so much better than me trying to act like someone that likes yoga pants. And I'm like, I might have worn yoga pants here and there, but no, I haven't. But see, like it's especially for that as an agency owner or and some business owners, they're really going to know their customers, but you're still might not know how, like, the reason why they love you and the reason why they decide to go to you. So like a weird example that I can come up with on the top of my head here is I was going to a haircut place, and they didn't even do a very good job cutting my hair, but it was cheap and they were very fast. I didn't have to wait ever when I went in there, right? So they might pride themselves on the quality of their haircuts. The majority of their customers might be coming in there just because it's cheap and it's really quick to get in and get out, right? So you might think you know why your customer is coming in and working with you and loving your brand and your services that you're selling, but it's another level to actually ask them why they decided, ask them about their objections that they had, ask them about the pain points that they had and how you actually solved that, how you made their life better. And the more you can show that with your images and creative and your copy, the better your ads are going to perform. But yeah, let me jump again to shoot off some video stuff. I would say when it comes to video, don't have a really slow intro as well. You know, have someone talking right away, have some motion right away, whatever it might be. The other thing to think about is I just listened to a podcast with Jay Shetty, and he's like got the most views on Facebook ever, I think, like a crazy high number. He's incredible. Watch his stuff. Listen to his podcast if you want to.
Will do. Jay Shetty.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, but he's really kind of mastered a lot of virality and what works there. And one of the tips he said as well is have something change in your video every 3 to 5 seconds. Like Andrew and Pete, they do a great job with this in their video.
Yeah.
They have like a graphic pop up here and there, or the camera zooms in, here and there. So think about how you can just, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be just another camera angle that switches. So you want a lot of motion because people are they're kind of scroll zombies on their phone. So if you can get them kind of locked in and you have a lot of motion, you have a lot of things going on.
A lot of motion, got it. I'll make sure to put a lot of motion in my videos.
But the other tip I would say when it comes to actually getting people to click and go to your website or click to purchase, a lot of the stuff there that I've seen performing better hasn't been video as much. And it could be something where I can improve. I'm sure I can improve my videos. I'm always looking for ways to do that. But I'm seeing really good conversion rates when it comes to clicks if it is an image, right? So if you have a particular download, instead of talking about it, you may have already at the top of the funnel talked about your brand or whatever. But maybe for that middle of funnel ad that you might be running and you're looking for clicks, I would probably try doing an image with just a stronger call to action to click to download, whatever it might be.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
But I always say all this stuff after everything I've seen, but then I always say test it.
Yeah, of course. Well, because their audience isn't your audience, and the only way to know what's going to work with your audience is testing your audience. Exactly. Every time people ask me about best times to post and things like that, I'm like, your audience. I mean, everything you're going to Google and find is based on the whole of the internet.
Yep,
all right,
exactly,
and always include that call to action, you guys. Have you noticed any sort of difference in calls to action in terms of, do you think Facebook kind of treats them all equally, or are certain call to action verbiage better performing?
That's a good one. I haven't tested that personally that much. I've used more Shop Now, but again, it's e-commerce, so it is going to be a Shop Now in a lot of cases. But I have heard, learn more in the bottom corner is a little less intimidating than Shop Now sometimes. The other thing I would add is if you're wanting them to go to your website, also put that URL link in your copy. It looks ugly on Instagram and doesn't quite work well there, so you might want to leave that off for that placement. That might be a reason to break them apart. But I was talking to a friend of mine. I said, throw that link in there. Put your call to action. Download the item here. Put that URL in your copy, so it just gives them another easier link to click. Because some people they might not know about the button down there, or might not see it, and that's you kind of want to click on URLs sometimes when you see them. So I told my buddy about that, and he came back 2 weeks later. He said, "You just doubled my click-through rates with that tip."
Yay!
So you can do just little tweaks like that. And I've seen a lot of other advertisers doing that now as well. So I would recommend definitely putting that URL link in ad copy too.
And a very cool thing that I think not enough people know about, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it may have changed, but I'm pretty sure it's still the case, which is that if you use an existing post and you create an ad out of that post and you add a call to action to the ad, that call to action appears on the organic post on your page too. It appears there a lot of times.
I'm probably agreeing with you. I don't know if it.
It may not always do it, but it does it sometimes, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm in a weird case where a lot of the stuff I'm doing is strictly ads with creative teams, so it's a little different. I don't know a lot of that integration, but it sounds great.
All right,
and
cool.
Another cool thing you can do too, kind of similar to that, is you can run those engagement campaigns at the top of your funnel where you're getting awareness. React, and then you can duplicate that ad and hit a different ad set, right? So an example of how you can kind of leverage, you can make an ad that your actual engagers are going to enjoy, show it to them, get that social proof already, and then duplicate it and show it to a cold audience.
Nice.
So that's another tip that you can kind of just get your engagement up a little bit more, get that social proof with people that already like you, so it's going to be easier, and then send that to a colder audience.
Yeah, and I want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about when we say social proof. So basically, the fact that people have seen this content and engaged with it and enjoyed it means that when you try to turn it into an ad or even organically, it tells the Facebook algorithm that content is valuable. So Facebook's algorithm, and there's an algorithm in the ads too, guys, is going to show it to more people for less money because it has been proven as valuable by actual humans. And Facebook wants to show people what will keep people on Facebook.
Yeah, and it's going to help you. It's going to help people trust you more. As well, and make them want to see, why are so many people liking this? What's going on here?
Yeah, nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd, and the algorithm knows it.
Yep. And then the other thing I would say when it comes to testing, copy, creative, all that kind of stuff, I heard a really good quote in the Perpetual Traffic podcast, which is a really good Facebook ads podcast. Definitely recommend checking that out if you want to dive a lot more into
Perpetual
Facebook
Traffic?
ads.
Who does Perpetual Traffic?
It's by some people at Tier 11 and Digital Marketer.
Cool.
Yeah, yep. So that definitely recommend checking that out. But they had a really good quote that I loved, and it was test the forest, test the trees, test the branches, test the leaves.
Nice.
And kind of what that means is, I loved how it sounded, and it kind of rhymes, so I'm like, that's cool. But kind of what it means is, instead of, I think a lot of people tweak very small things and test very small things, right? So how could I just change this headline? How could I, change this copy, or maybe whatever the image is, like maybe I'll make it a different color or a different item. But instead, try a lot of different, kind of like I said already, like try vastly different things. And then when you find out that the one on the right here, this hand, performed well, then maybe get rid of that one. And like I said again, that and try combinations of that one again, where you're testing the forest. So right and left, big differences here. And then you're finding, this one's working well. Let's duplicate it now. Let's test the trees, and then let's go down to the branches and the leaves. So that's kind of that whole quote, which I loved. I thought it was great. But
I love it.
Yeah, test bigger changes, because you can find some really interesting things there. And I love testing too, because you might think like we could spend so much time creating the best video, but if it doesn't perform, then it doesn't perform. So do as much testing as you can. But yeah, you have to think about when you're spending less money, you're going to need to do less tests. So it might be, testing 3 different things instead of 5,000 different things if you have a crazy budget. And again, wait for that learning to be done, which could take a few days before you kind of make your decisions.
Awesome. All right. So in summary, I'm going to go right now to Facebook Ads Manager and Business Manager. They're Business Manager to Ads Manager. I'm going to first of all make sure my pixel is all good and make sure my pixel is solid and it's working and it's connected to my website. Then I'm going to create a video engagement ad. I'm going to retarget audiences that have engaged with my content in the past. I'm going to have some interest targeting in there for me, because I'm always talking to people who are business owners who are doing things for themselves on social media. I always target like Facebook business page admins and things like that.
That's a great one. Yep.
So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show them all a video with other people talking about me being great, and I will include a URL to my website in the text, as well as in the learn more call to action button. And then I'm going to actually have a couple different ad sets within that ad. I'm going to have it optimize budget to see who it performs better among. Does it perform better among people near me in Nyack, or does it perform better among people who are not near me in Nyack? I think that'll be my variable. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great summary.
All right. Woohoo! All right, so we'll see how that, you see, I'm really good at following all the different trains. You should have seen me. On my first date with my husband, we had to write our tangents on a napkin. That's how bad it got. 12 years later, it's not much better. Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much, Tony, of Tony Does Ads. And thank you so much. And this also, as I said at the beginning, is my last show before September. I'm taking August off, but I'll be back with a vengeance in September. Again, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. My first show in September is actually going to be a recap of the Inbound conference in Boston, and I may even try to get some people who went to Content Marketing World in Ohio that same week. 2 very big conferences going on that first week of September. So don't forget to tune in that first Friday of September at 12 noon Eastern Time, where we will have some insights and best stuff from either of those. Are you going to either of those, Tony?
I wish. I don't have it planned right now, but I will be going to Atomicon and probably Social Media Marketing World next year as well.
Yay! And I of course am going to both of those as well. So I will see you next March and April, if nothing else.
Yep.
But thanks everyone. Anthony, you still didn't tell us what coffee you're drinking, by the way. So I'll expect that in the comments. Thank you so much to everybody. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.